Ah yes, many moons ago, the original talisman was made. And then there was a bunch of different talismans and upgrades to it and bought out by Fantasy Flight. But what nobody really knows, or very few people know, is that there was another game that was played just like it. And that's called Prophecy. And this game has been bought out by Z-Man and now has been re-released after, oh god, I think it's like 12 years. And is very much compared to Talisman, but considered a little bit deeper than Talisman, because when you get Talisman, you already have pre-made characters. So let's take a look at it. Well, before you, we have the board. Doesn't look like much, but you'd be surprised at how much depth goes into it. Also, there was another expansion that was also released with it recently, which we'll take a look at. And, of course, I had to have it. And that is Prophecy Water Realms. And it adds another board and more cards and things that we'll be talking about. But let's talk about this game. There's two different objectives to it. One of them is to go around and collect certificates, and once you get 5 certificates, which you pay with 5 experience apiece, you then win the game. Another is to go around and to go to the astral plane and collect 2 out of the 5 artifacts, and then that player wins the game. Or another one is to get as many of the artifacts that you can until they're all gone. And then, as a good friend of mine would say, it's the FU game, where you run around and try to kill each other. This is kind of drawn out and a little unnecessary. You power up, and you get all the artifacts, and then you try to beat each other down. If you got enough players and you want to drag the game out, that's a pretty good version of it. Well, let's take a look at the basics of this game. The components are a lot better than the original version. The original version was very chintzy done. And, you know, that's only because it was an older game. Now, you know, you have your cardboard stands. The object is to, each turn, to make a move to each area. And every time you make a move into the area, you would turn over one of these cards. Or an event would happen and there'd be more cards, and you'd get different types of events, or you may run into some creatures. Let's see. There's got to be somebody in here. But what they'll have is either a strength or... here we go. They're all on the bottom. I haven't shuffled them up yet. As you see, a band of brigands. They're worth 3 experience. They have 2 strength and 1 willpower. Now you can choose which one that you better fit to defeat it with. Well, sometimes some of these cards will have a thing that says 3 lives. So you have to beat it 3 times because there's 3 of them. Most of them are by themselves. But if you defeat it, you'll get a special, you can find a common item, which there's a common item deck, and a rare item deck. And that just helps enhance your character. And there's all different cards that'll help and hurt you, and as you go around the board, as you're trying to get stronger. But I think the most fascinating thing about this game is the actual character itself. Because when you start the game, it's just a guy with 4 strength, which is represented by cubes. The original game, it was they had little beads, and then you have 4 willpower and magic for this particular paladin. Now, when you face something, let's say that you're fighting an escaped murderer, and you choose to fight him with your strength. Well, he would get 2 strength and roll a d6, so he would have 7. You, on the other hand, because your strength is 4, would add 4 to your d6 roll, which would be 5, and that means that you would take a wound. Now, the interesting thing about this is that when you take a wound, your health gets taken away and put on the other side. But when you're wounded and hurt, your strength goes down, because your strength is actually your health. So if you were walking around wounded, well, guess what? You wouldn't be as strong. So now when you roll a d6, you can only add 2 to it. So I think that's a neat component, because it actually takes, and when you're at full health, you're at full strength. When you're hurt, you're below strength. And the same thing with willpower. Now, when you lose all your health, you die. But if you lose all your willpower, that's okay. You just have to go someplace and recharge it. The other thing is that also your will can be used for magic. So your willpower will actually lower down. So you got to be very careful on how you use your magic points in this. The components are really nice. The board, it's the original board. Going around has different events. You can do different things. Like at the fortress here, you can trade some health for some experience. Forest camp, you can trade some coins for health. And the same can be said for the magic tower. You can recharge your mana. Or Thieves Guild, you could trade in some of your health for gold. And depending on what you belong to, that's where you can trade in your experience. As you go around and kill things, you'll get experience in gold. But your main places where you can level up is the fortress and the monastery. So at the fortress and monastery, you can trade in your experience points and get a card. Which, okay, now that'll cost you 7 gold and 7 experience, excuse me. And it would add +1 strength, and you would get, let's take a better look at it. When using a two-handed weapon in battle, of strength, add +1. You also get +1 bonus when fighting with your bare hands. So it actually helps you out. So there's different cards that can help you and things like that. Another neat thing is that when you go to get the artifacts, you can only get them in the areas that are adjacent to the portal. Now the artifact is always the last thing that you deal with. And you would turn over and you would have to deal with tortured souls. That would be your first thing that you would take on. It has 3 lives and you have to fight it with willpower. And it has a special condition. Despair, before each roll of the dice, lose 1 magic. So you're actually getting weaker as you fight this thing. Tortured souls guard a magic node. Gain 1 strength from the bank. So that kind of helps you once you beat it. After that, you would take the Master of Pain. And you could see that his strength and willpower are combined, and you would have to combine your strength and willpower to fight him. So it's if you can get by him, then you would get this particular artifact, which would give you all kinds of bonus. A Banner of Hope. And these artifacts are very powerful, so they'll help out in the later rounds of the game. All in all, it's pretty much a quicker and lighter version of Talisman, or another game that I have, which is very good, which is Return of the Heroes. And it's more of a very light role-playing game, where your character, at least in this, starts completely with nothing, and as you go around, you actually start to build him and give him his different abilities, and he starts to take on a personality. So I really, really enjoy this game. I like it, and I'm glad they re-released it. I ended up getting a new version of it along with the Water Realm, which I never played before. So I'm looking forward to cracking that open as well. And I just figure I'd give you a look at this and see what you think. But that's it for today, and I'll see you in the next video.